Am I the jerk for wanting people to wear white at my wedding? Posted by you/through a golden bride. So, I, 24F, am having a hard time seeing where I went wrong, but my husband-to-be, 26M, and I both struggle with NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, so I figured an outside opinion might be helpful since neither of us tends to understand when we're wrong right away. I'm getting married, yay, in December to the absolute love of my life, and we both want it to be the most spectacular wedding the world has ever seen because we both really love attention. I never used to feel comfortable admitting that, but ever since I've been with him, I've been able to really accept it, and it's made my life so much more fun. We decided that instead of me wearing a white dress like all the other white dresses and him wearing the same tuxedo as every man in attendance, it would look really spectacular if we both dressed head to toe in gold. What we want is for all our guests to wear either black, white, or gray, and for us to be the only ones wearing color. I figured that not only would I look like a princess, but I'd also be dancing with a prince instead of just some guy, and he's so into the idea that he remembers it as being his. We just love the idea of a sea of monochrome, with us in the middle of it all. The only thing is, my sister, 26F, has been absolutely furious at us ever since the clothing requirements came out. First, she said this was proof that I never changed and that I was being controlling again, basically, that asking guests to wear a specific color was insane. Then she started making digs about my hair and how I was just doing this to show off and asked if I planned to have her dye her hair too. I did not, we're both blonde, but mine is a bit more yellow blonde, and my husband is dyeing his hair for the wedding. I admitted to that but also pointed out that it's my wedding and it's normal. Then she accused me of trying to upstage everyone else's wedding dress, basically implying that I was trying to get everyone to show up in wedding dresses, if I could compete with them and make myself look even better by comparison. That was never the plan. When I mentioned what she said to my husband-to-be, his eyes kind of lit up in this really cute way, and he said we should encourage people to actually wear their own wedding clothes, but we decided that would probably be terrible of us. We ultimately decided to let our families wear copper if they wanted, so they would stand out as a nice accent to gold, and my sister would also get to stand out. I was totally willing to pay and said as much. That was when she called me a spoiled child and said she wasn't like me, that she wasn't in this for herself, and that she wanted all the guests to be able to wear normal wedding clothes, adding that nobody in their right mind would be comfortable wearing white to a wedding. Relevant comments. Commenter. It sounds like a really pretty wedding. I don't think upstaging everyone who has ever had a wedding is the goal here, but I also think every person who has a wedding wants it to be special and memorable in their own way. Kinda weird that your sister doesn't feel that way. Ops response. She's really against events where I get attention. I get it, considering how I was before I knew I had NPD and how to handle it, but I guess I thought a wedding would be an appropriate time to want attention, you know? Commenter. I wonder if your sister is just kicking back because you're not having a traditional wedding and she's jealous of the attention you'll be receiving? Ops response. She had a really traditional wedding last year, and I wasn't actually invited, so I don't know many details, but I know she wasn't happy with how it went. I do think my dress code is pretty simple, especially since, not to be macabre, but everyone has funeral clothes, right? Commenter. Can I ask why you were excluded from her wedding? Ops response. Ever since I was 16, she hasn't wanted me at any events focused on her. She asked me to stay home for her high school graduation, all her birthdays, and her college graduation, and I couldn't meet her child until a week after either. We sometimes celebrate alone, but when we were growing up, I would often do something to grab attention at basically any event I was invited to. It wasn't like it was malicious, but it wasn't exactly unintentional either. I just absolutely love when everyone is watching me, and I'm pretty good at a lot of things. On my sister's 17th birthday, I gifted her a song I wrote. I got the idea from a TV show, and everyone spent the rest of the party saying how good I was. That was one of the big things she brought up when she first banned me from her events. I honestly just loved the attention, and it didn't occur to me that what I was doing took something away from her because I figured everyone loved watching me, so I was just making her parties better. I also thought she loved watching me. I get it now, and I understand that what I did was really wrong, but I didn't at the time. Op on boundaries/therapy. I'm in therapy. It's been a little tricky to maintain the consistency I'd like, but for now, I'm going every other week. I know I'll always be a narcissist, no matter what I do, but I still want to have good relationships where I don't hurt or take anything away from anyone. I've said something very similar to what you quoted a few times. Her boundaries are pretty simple. We only really meet up at family gatherings or one-on-one in a private space. If we meet one-on-one, I'm not allowed to talk about myself, my life, or anything I'm accomplishing or working on unless she specifically asks. At family events she'll be attending, I need to send her what I'll be wearing ahead of time to ensure it's not attention-seeking. I also can't perform, sing, dance, etc., or talk about anything I'm working on unless I ask her permission first, and if she says no, I can't ask again. If she tells me she needs to vent, I can't react or get upset about anything she says to me or tell anyone else about it. That's pretty much everything. It can be tricky at times, but I know that's mostly my disorder, and it's worth it to have her in my life. Commenter. Sorry to comment on this post 3 times, but it's really alarming to me. She has to approve your outfits even if the event isn't focused on her? You're not allowed to talk about yourself at all without permission? I hope someone with more experience with NPD can tell me if there's a healthy rationale behind this, because I think you love your sister so much that you're unable to see clearly that she's controlling you and, frankly, being really mean to you. Ops response. I'm only not allowed to talk about myself at all when it's just us, and I'm not supposed to ask for permission. When we're at family gatherings, I can talk about myself generally, like my relationships, the music I like, or anything else. I just can't talk about my goals, projects I'm working on, or accomplishments of any kind without checking first, because it's considered a form of attention seeking. Most recently, I had to check if she was okay with me talking about learning how to make pizza from scratch from my husband-to-be. She said it was fine as long as I focused on the learning process and didn't, offer to teach anyone anything or say how great I was at it. The outfits thing can be frustrating, especially since she almost always shoots down 3 or 4 outfits before accepting something, and it's usually way too hot. But it makes her feel much more comfortable, so it's not the biggest deal. Update 1 year 5 months later. My husband and I recently celebrated our first anniversary, and I was thinking about all the dress code drama when I remembered this account and thought it would be fun to give you all a little 1 year update. After I made my original post, my husband and I decided to contact my sister and parents for a sit-down discussion about the situation. He offered to take everyone out to eat, and we had a really long conversation about my sister and my relationship. My sister said she had made a promise to herself never to let that happen again, and that if I wanted her in my life, I needed to be a normal person. My husband told her that if she was going to keep humiliating me for something I did as a child, then she wasn't a normal person either. It became a bit chaotic. My dad took our side and said my sister was taking things too far. My mom took my sister's side and said that since I have NPD, I'm not capable of real change, and that if they ever gave in at all, they would be hurting my sister. It ended with my sister calling my father an enabler and threatening to cut him off. It wasn't a great dinner overall. What surprised me was my sister's husband. She called me the next day at his recommendation, and we talked for a long time. She told me that she doesn't want to feel like a side character in the My Name show, and that it had felt that way throughout our childhood. I told her that I feel like I'm not allowed to have meaningful relationships with any of our family since she restricts what I say, do, and wear around them. I pointed out that she controls my clothes for almost every family event and that this was my wedding. She admitted that was a good point. Eventually, she agreed to attend the wedding in a really cute black and white checkerboard dress, and to leave if it became too much. The wedding itself was incredible. It was the second best day of my life so far, and my sister said she was genuinely happy for me. I felt like a princess in a fairy tale the whole day, and my husband was the handsomest prince in the universe. The whole thing was under the stars, it was perfect. I could talk about it forever, but character limits. As a wedding gift, my sister told me that she was going to start letting me wear what I liked at family gatherings, talk about my accomplishments, and even talk about myself a little when it's just me and her. And she has, and it's been great. The only better gift I got that night was my husband himself. This past year has been the best of my life, and I genuinely feel so much better about life and family these days. I'm a girl mom now, and I'm so glad my daughter gets to know her aunt and cousins too. I'm even allowed to babysit for my sister sometimes. Up in the comments. Okay, you want to hear why I am a diagnosed narcissist? 1. If I don't get attention, am alone too long, or cannot express everything in my mind to someone, doesn't really matter who, I can't feel anything. I just go numb. There's no happiness, no anger, no anything, just this vat of numbness that is unbearably dull and cannot be escaped until I have all eyes on me. 2. I genuinely believe I am the best at everything I do on an emotional level. I think I am a musical genius, and there's a bit to back that up, but I also think I'm a dancer on the level of at least any backup at a concert, that my drawings are good enough to be in a museum, that my writing is deep and ingenious, that I'm prettier than 99% of models even with a baby weight, that I can act well enough to win an Oscar if I were ever randomly put in a big-budget movie for no reason, and I have nothing backing any of that up, except maybe the writing being slightly above average. My husband has told me that he agrees with the model thing, and I have to put that in this reply. 3. The last time I failed, full-on failed, It was a chemistry, and I temporarily became a full-on anti-vaxxer because I decided chemistry was made up and stupid, and nobody could ever really understand it. They were all just getting lucky and also evil. In reality, I'm not good at science. I still kind of resent scientists. I also decided that my teacher must be madly in love with me and punishing me for being so beautiful because he didn't want his wife to divorce him. That is how my mind works when I am not good at a thing. 4. I recently sat my husband down, told him that I had rewritten a whole musical to be about another character, and that it was so much better than the original. One woman showed both the original and then mine in front of him without even my piano and demanded he tell me in detail all the ways mine was better than the original. He has never seen the original or read the book it was based on first. 5. I will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Look at this post. Look how many hours I've spent talking about myself, in detail. That's probably not the smartest, because I am absolutely loving the attention. I've had 4-hour conversations in which the other person said maybe 10 sentences max. My husband wants to inform you that it is more like 10 words. 6. My friend had me sit in the backseat instead of shotgun while she took me and 2 other girls to a very expensive concert for her birthday, and I decided she must secretly hate me, that she was boring and mean anyway, and by the time we reached the show, I was sure I'd go no contact after, only to realize the shotgun friend was the only one not sitting next to her in the show, and she was trying to be fair. I immediately remembered that actually, she's really smart and kind and fun, and I love her. I told her all this to her face the next day, and she said she could tell because she saw me glaring at her in the rearview mirror. 7. I throw a ball on my birthday. A literal ball. We save up all year, and I get a fancy dress and rent a ballroom. I make my friends call me Princess my name and pretend to be my ladies in waiting. The princess thing is actually pretty consistent in my life. I have tea parties at least once a month too. I am not a poor little meow meow with a misdiagnosis. I'm a person who has more than one personality trait, and honestly, I don't like that so many people want to say it's wrong. My husband has the same diagnosis, and so do a lot of my close friends. They're the people I am able to be myself around the most, and who understand me best. It hurts to hear them disparaged, even if you're trying to uplift me in the process. Up on how the husband relationship works. Well, my husband and I each see the other as an extension of ourselves, and we love each other. I have a princess complex, he has a hero complex, and we require the other to fulfill that. With our friends, there's definitely some competition, but there's also a lot of mutual enjoyment. One of my friends is a pretty famous influencer, and she's great to have around because she gets us VIP treatment everywhere. She took the pictures for my wedding. We do fashion together, and I get a steady stream of promotional gifts from her because we have very different coloring. What looks good on me almost always doesn't look as good on her. And vice versa, I suppose. Another one of my NPD friends is an alto, and I'm a soprano, so we're usually going for different roles in musicals. Basically, as long as we each have a defined niche, we can agree that our group as a whole is the best, and each of us is the best at our role. I'm the best blonde soprano musician in the group, and I don't mind if other people are the best at their own thing because I don't do social media, sing alto, or whatever else. Up on valuing relationships. I've always valued relationships. I want to have people in my life, and I do love my family. I just didn't understand that my getting attention took away from other people. I really, really love attention, but I figured that was just a me thing since other people experience things like stage fright or nervousness when talking to strangers or crushes, and a lot of people are shy or don't want to be the center of attention. It didn't occur to me that the things I did were bad,